That's it. Honestly, I don't know about you, but I am having these technical issues. Um, and I can feel quite stressed about it. So that's never happened. Oh anyway. Anyway, it's really oh my gosh. My glasses are all fogged up now. It's lovely to be here. We are in these incredible times and energies, and I wanted to speak to you about it so you can navigate it more easily. So I'll just put these back on, my notes. So we're really in these, they are these energies that are coming in doing deep purification. It's like we keep going deeper and higher in the same axis point. And so we're in deeper purification, and it's likely that, maybe you've got some finer things coming up. That's why I did that video yesterday, so that you could perhaps preempt by tuning into your own energetic system to give you some clues. Is there anything else left there to attend to? But be aware that this is happening everywhere. This is happening to everyone on some level and in our world in a very real, tangible form. So we know that we've been witnessing and been a part of these energetics changing, catalyzing change, coming in, shifting things around, and shaking them up. And we're in another level of that at the moment with these energies that are coming in. They are faster, they are higher, so they go deeper and they're shifting things around, and it's a higher frequency and it's a quicker speed. So this ongoing running up the spiral of ascension. Oh yeah, I brought my flowers in. I'll move them over. I treated myself flowers yesterday. Although these ones here I found on the side of the road. Don't know what they are, but I want to find out. They're some kind of little, like a little grass. And I wanted to say also, hello Charlotte, Heather, Fiona and Tan and Tina. That in what I found out about in the last video is that I can't count when I went back and listened. So sorry about that. And also I want to just talk to you about how we are more and more guided by our higher aspects or spirit, or whoever it is that you attune to. And the Jacksons song, Can You Feel It? That is a perfect example of that. So I heard that song in my head. Spirit gave me that song in my head, but I didn't know who sang it. I Googled it and that came up, and the very first link that I clicked on was the link I put in the description of the video later on in the day. And if you haven't watched it, this is the power of spirit working with us. It's the most incredible production the video is, with not just the lyrics of the song which show up in that video, but the videography that's in it, the images, they are so on point with what we're going through now. And I just wanted to say that to you. I didn't go hunting for that. I heard the song, I wrote it down, and when I went in and I Googled it, it told me who had sung it. And then I just clicked on the very first link and I got that. So this is the magic of working in our higher alignment and getting and being given this information. So we are, in a way, you could see that we are kind of like in some ways we are sitting in swirling doo-doo, because there's this very quick turnaround energy of this compression, this squeeze, this shake up, this release, this further shake up, then the calibration as we're coming in, the more higher energies coming in. But no matter where you're at in the process, well, really, we are doing the job of a lot of filtering and a lot of transmuting. And apart from that, we're in, I can't think of the time because you know what I'm like with time, but there was a time, I think earlier this year there was a big time, and another time last year where it felt it really did feel like we might have been in a big pot of sewage, because there's, you know, the shite is being released, and so you might be having that experience, so you kind of be a little bit in and out of that. But welcome and thank you for joining me. So Gaia today, oh no, she has some personal messages for you. I'll just begin. So she, you know, we're in the speed up of exchange. That's the synopsis, and that brings us to this, you know, calibration and this acceleration. So the acceleration is coming in terms of frequencies, in terms of the speed of these changes, and the speed of the frequencies and what is coming off the sun. And she showed me this big like a big flash of energy that came off the sun this morning, which might not be your morning, of course, and that would arrive maybe later on today or tomorrow. So what she said is, today you are likely to have been guided to be a little slow and still, and perhaps even at home because of what's going on, and that many of you are in completion of calibration of these energies that have been coming in as a result of the transmutation and upgrade energies, which have been massive in the past few days. And Gaia was saying this morning that, generally speaking, humanity is doing very well in receiving these energies, and that the more you can be in flow and in present moment, the more likely you will notice what arises to be healed or dealt with, and thereby be in less likelihood of being in pain and contraction. So this is the beauty of being in present moment, is that you can see it, feel it, and deal with it all in the same moment. And then it doesn't get into being stuck, and it doesn't thereby sort of come into greater pain and suffering. And to give yourself praise and appreciation, saying some are more sensitive than others to these changes being made. And remember that at a molecular level, you are changing from carbon into liquid crystalline. And also that those of you who may be experiencing much physical pain at this time could also be leading edge alchemists, breaking the old physical, human, and structural programs and paradigms. So, you know, she is saying if you're at the leading edge of that, you might be resetting a pattern for undoing a program or a paradigm. And so she is just pointing that out. Also, the spaces created in the electromagnetic field around our planet at the moment are much thinner, and they are allowing, she said, greater, bigger and wider sort of beams of light, that's how she showed it to me, to enter the ionosphere, and that this is having another acceleration effect. I mean, as if we think we can deal with more, but we are, and we have. And that's a really good point to remember, is that we've been going through this. Oh, I blocked your face, Guy. I'm so sorry. This acceleration, this upgrade, this transmutation, and this cycle of receiving and purifying and releasing, and then receiving and integrating, and that we've been doing that at higher, faster, bigger, greater energies, and it's ongoing. It's the spiral in two forms, really: clearing and cleansing, and upgrading and up-leveling, and we are transmuting all of that, and have been now for quite some time. And that those of you who are in the the group that is clearing and cleansing and clarifying and purifying and opening and receiving and integrating, that all of that has a positive impact and effect on the rest of humanity. It's like it's like the person who wields the machete to create the track through the forest. So she is saying that we are entering another acceleration effect, with more particles entering at a higher speed and greater frequency, and thereby accelerating ascension. So we're going through this quicker in and out of clearing and releasing. And so you may be having bigger symptoms of expansion. So she bows to those of you light workers and light warriors for your dedication to your own growth and ascension, and know that many of you are taking leading roles in shifting and transmuting, piercing and holding space for the collective, and also this shadow that's being released, revealed around us. So more of that is dissipating and being moved out. She says, be like the dancer, move your body to make the energies shift so they don't get stuck. Ground, of course, hydrate, be in present moment. Everyone in the world is receiving all of this, and we are coming into seeing and being, everyone, you, me, humanity, the world, greater authenticity and truth, and speaking this from the heart, and this all changes everything up. So we are, I wanted to ask you these questions to contemplate right now. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you becoming? What do you love about yourself? What do you love in your life, in your day, in your connections and relationships, about your body, your house, your home, and the world? And what are you in appreciation of and for? Because we need to be intentionally directional with our thoughts, words, and actions. We're in huge manifestation, turnaround, creation energies. And we must be, well, no, we don't have to be, but it serves us to be pristine in this regard, and things will show up quickly if we're not. So we're needing to be aware about working in the quantum, this idea that, whatever other work is that you do in your body, in your field, in your inner being, in your essence, all of that is reflected out into the collective, into the quantum entanglement, if you like. And so it has this ripple effect. Every single little piece of work that you do ripples out like the pebble thrown into the pond, and it impacts the people around you, and then that can create a collective wave of impact to people beyond. And it's powerful, and we are in this time where we can impact the power of that by being very sort of dedicated and pristine in our own energetic processes. So remember that what each of you do to bring yourself into higher alignment and frequency, including what you are clearing, healing, and releasing, it, and including any blocks and trauma that you are releasing, it impacts the people around you, the quantum field, and the pool of consciousness. And this is the point that we're working at now. Many of you will be working at this point where you're recognizing that you can, when you're in your highest alignment, have a huge impact on what is happening in your field and around you. So this, we're definitely in the inner earth this morning. We were definitely in this expanded place or space. There's more in the inner earth. There's more space. It's more. It's expanded. When I say that, it sounds wrong, but what I mean by that is that when I'm in there, the space in the cavity where I dropped down through, it was more expanded. And these are the reflections that I get shown that are in direct correlation to our bodies expanding, to the collective of humanity's bodies expanding. So we are in this grander and greater expansion. We are very much being set up to have huge shifts in consciousness, and for this to be more frequent now. And so the better that we can set ourselves up for that, the easier it will be. And what I'm showing also is to be really gentle with yourself and what you might put pressure on yourself to do, because it is going to get not more challenging, but it is going to get bigger and faster. And we are learning to be with it because it's new. Remember, no one's ever done this before. This moving through this ascension in the physical form. And if you've been following my work with Gaia over time, you will now be like me, feeling like we are having real world time examples of all that she's been saying over this time about the cellular change, and that our bodies will go through these cycles of purification and receipt, and then integration and calibration as we gradually move up that spiral. And you'll be noticing that your psychic gifts are no doubt accelerating or expanding or becoming stronger. And not all of them necessarily, but some of them. And that there's also, I'm just being reminded because I'm feeling this in my spine as I'm sitting here. So we've also had huge Kundalini energies coming through today. So you may be feeling that in the base of your spine, and dancing is a good way to move Kundalini energies, or swaying of the hips, the Hawaiian hula, in that figure of 8, or that slightly rocking back and forth through the pelvis, or that helps that energy move. So we are in very obvious structural breakdown, and this is occurring both in our bodies and in our physical world. And I don't watch the news, and I don't recommend watching the news, but I've seen a few things on Telegram that would indicate that there are strong examples of that. And this is the process that we're in. So yes, things might get rocky. I mean, they already are for a lot of people. There are a lot of people in the world who think that everything's falling apart and going to rack and ruin. And of course, that's a perspective, isn't it? And so I am encouraging you to rise above that perspective, to see it from a higher place. And from a higher place, what's happening is that we are observing that we've had a lot of systems and structures in our world that have been designed for, well, let's say not designed for the highest good of humanity. They've been designed to serve a small group of people who have set up cycles and systems that enable them to be well resourced by our efforts, be that energetic, be that money. But let's just call the whole thing energetics. And right now, in this higher frequency, it's being disrupted. It doesn't serve us, and it needs to be crumbled. And probably, I would say, in June, maybe June, I started talking about that we would watch the cornerstones of the structures and systems in our world begin to show up in deficit and then to begin to crumble, and that we would watch that happen more in an ethereal and then in the physical. And so this is what we are witnessing now, and if we get into the fear and scariness of it, it just won't serve us. We have to look beyond it, look above it, see this as a short-term thing. Now, short-term might be weeks or months or years, but I don't believe that it's years, because right from the get-go, when Gaia would speak to me about this changeover, she used 2025 as the year, the sort of middle year. It was 2025, and she said that in 2025 we would have, by the time we ended 2025, we would have implemented new systems and structures. But she has changed that in what she has given to me, and what she is and has been saying to me this year is that now that's accelerated to the end of 2024, that we will have all of our new systems and structures in place by the end of 2024. And so, of course, they have to come down, they have to show up. People have to recognize how they don't work. And we've got to shift a lot of values around this dog eat dog, this I compete with you, this this energy of battle, argument, this I win, you lose, all of those energies, they support our old paradigm. And so we need to be being mindful about how we are being in our world. Are we being inclusive? Are we being cooperative? Are we looking for ways to be that are softer, that allow flow, that don't create resistance? And we'll learn and navigate that, and that will be part of what we flow into the stream of consciousness, or into the entanglement, or into the quantum field. So yeah, there's this shifting into more collaboration and community, less of the sort of long-term saving, hoarding, this coming back into more sharing and knowing that what we need is coming. So this is where we have to shift in our own individual space, and then in our our close friends and family, and then that will ripple out. So let me have a look at the questions here, and welcome anybody else. Welcome Margaret, Donna Jean, and Heidi. Okay, so if tech stuff is breaking down to level up what we use, well, I believe so, because my understanding is that as the frequencies increase, that we'll have a lot of breakdown of kind of molecular structure that won't hold together in the frequency. So I guess that is likely. And also, as we up level our frequency, there's less of a match, and that's what I find, that if I if I go into a high frequency, it's more challenging for me to be grounded. It's more challenging for me to work with elements that are needing to use my brain, and so then I can feel a bit stressed about it. So yes, and what I believe is that we have. So when I go into the Akashic records, I'm often shown healing, and put clients into healing pods and things like that in the Akashic records. So I've seen devices. It just always amuses me how spirit works. How spirit. Sometimes I go into what I call the grand ballroom in the old halls of records, because I believe we now have two particular sets of Akash, and they hold the same information, that they're in different locations, and then we are becoming upgraded to be able to access our own Akashic records. So many of you will be able to do that. But anyway, and how I made this up, or how I navigated it, or created it, or was showing it, whatever it is. When I go to the old halls of records, I go to this big building, and in the large room in this big building, I call the ballroom. And sometimes when I take clients into the Akash, I wait and spirit directs me. There's only ever been 3 spaces that I get taken into, and one of them I've only been taken into twice. So when we go into the grand ballroom, often that's because there's a bigger group of people coming in to make commentary or be witness to. And it just makes me laugh that sometimes when I take my clients in there and I see that there are like hospital curtains. So there's, in the ballroom, there's these rails with these hospital green curtains, and sometimes they get pulled back and there's a surgical bed in there, like a medical bed, and my clients are placed on that. And so it runs laser lights, and it has, there's one that looks like a souped up John of God bed, if you've ever seen that. It has this vertical post and a horizontal set of, a horizontal, I don't know what to call it really, structure that has these different lights and crystals that connect to the physical chakra centers, and it gets plugged in, and the lights are above the body. So there's this kind of, but it's more souped up than that, but it has a look of that, but it has moving components and laser lights and all the rest of it. And there's another one where basically somebody is placed in it vertically against they're standing against the wall, and it runs up and down. It seals them in and moves up and down. And then there's something that looks a bit more like a pea pod. So, we are going to have a lot of that kind of technology that will come in, that will be run by different systems, and by all accounts it looks as though that might be some kind of Tesla technology, and all of that, I believe, is sitting in the wings really to come out when we're ready, and we're just waiting for the frequency to rise, and we can each play our part in that. Heidi is saying, being in New Zealand, do you feel that the shift needed is actually happening here? I see it happening around the world. I know. So do you remember watching me? I can't remember when it was, maybe April, and Gaia said that we would be last to be first, that New Zealanders would be, when she told me this, she said New Zealanders were the most somnambulistic group of people on the planet. And I had to go and look it up because I knew the root word of it, but I didn't know what somnambulistic meant, and it means deep sleepwalking. And so she said that when New Zealand wakes up, the rest of the wave will, wash back over the world. So I guess we're starting to wake up, and that the maybe the more practiced we are in holding our energy and increasing our frequency and doing our work, those of us here in New Zealand as light workers and light warriors, that's what we've come to do, to transform, transmute, upgrade, up level, be the change makers, shine a light on things that need to be shown. And so the more that we can do our work individually and thereby into a collective group. But I believe that it's a bit twofold. I believe that it's the sort of geographical placement that we're in, that the wave might begin from here, but that was how she showed it to me. It's like we would be last to then be first. So how I see that is that New Zealanders have to wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. And then that this ascension wave that takes us to a new level will roll out from here, which kind of fits with our being the country, the nation, to see the light first in the day, the land of first light. Many of us know New Zealand as, or Aotearoa, which is another name, some Māori name, even though it's not a, there's more to that, but that's okay. We don't need to talk about that. So it's looking close. I definitely am in the knowing that we are going to have a big ascension wave before the end of March, or around the end of March. I believe that's a significant time for us to have a big ascension wave, another leap through. And so to what extent that takes us, that will depend on how much we can awaken as a society, as humanity. And so I think at the moment, if we can just be dedicated with our own practice and know that whatever we are doing is rippling out into the quanta, rippling out into the stream of consciousness, and you might each have your own idea about how that looks, and that's absolutely fine. I see the stream of consciousness very much like looking into the Milky Way and seeing lots of stars, and it kind of moves and shifts. And so, the more that we can do that individually, collectively, the bigger the impact, the faster. But there's this whole, there's definitely a lot of divine intervention going on at the moment. There's a lot of work being done by many groups around the world in shifting out areas of density, of shadow, of transmuting it, of attending to clearing and cleansing things in nature. And we just have to keep doing our work, knowing that it will reach a tipping point, and that I believe that we're going to reach a tipping point of some distinction by the end of March, and that there are opportunities between now and then. Hello, Margaret from Australia, and Donna Jean from Chicago. So those of you who live here in New Zealand and who watch the news, I think that there are clues. There are definite, I think, deliberate slips of the tongue. Also, I believe, how can I frame this? I I believe that there are a lot of things that have gone on that have already occurred behind the scenes, and we are watching an overlay of a movie. So I let's see. So I believe that there are versions of our leader. That's what I've been told, and I am showing that there's a lot of stage management going on. That there's a lot more availability to technology in terms of clones and things like that than we're aware of. There's the technology that is here present on the earth and has been secreted away is probably, well, actually, I'm not much of a movie watcher, but I think often those technologies that we're showing in futuristic sci-fi movies, they actually exist. It's like they've been in soft disclosure. And I believe we are in soft disclosure. God has said to me that we will have ascension before we have disclosure, and I know what the rationale for that is. That the mind, the cognitive dissonance that will be created by full disclosure will be way too much for anybody, let alone people who are not yet awake. And so we will be given little kind of bits of soft disclosure, nudgings to get people to start to see things from different perspectives. And that we'll have this going on over a couple of years because it's huge. Let's see. And in lots of ways, we and Australia are in not dissimilar camps. I think we're more, well, that's what Gaia said, we're the somnambulistic peoples over here. But Australia's been very clamped down, just as we have. They've perhaps had a different response. Oh, you're in Gisborne, Heidi. That's a nice place to be. Hello, Leah. Yes, so we just have to hold steady with our own frequency, rise above the garbage, and know that there are things, no one is coming to save us. That's definitely something, if that's in your vernacular, put it in the bin. We are saving ourselves by coming home to our own hearts, to come into alignment with our greatest power and essence, and then we come into being powerful co-creators of our own world, and then we come into collaboration with being co-creators of our own world. And we're on the brink of this, we're in the practicing of this, we're in the becoming of this. And so it's important, I believe, to maybe just put aside a little bit more time at the moment in a day to hold on to that, to be in that space, and to maintain the level of anticipation and excitement. And what else can I say about it? I just feel that there's more stuff coming out than I can even tell you, because I'm not there. I don't watch it, but Mum's quite good at watching the news and telling me. And then I do belong to a Telegram thread that often has little snippets from around the place that would indicate that this change is real and that it is happening here. And maybe it's just not quite as obvious here as it is in other places. And that's a fit with what Gaia said, isn't it? That we would be last to then be first. So we'll be the last to be totally awakened, and then the ascension wave will kind of ripple out from here. All right. Any more? Has anyone got anything else they want to ask? Fiona's saying breathe. It's so true. It's so true. And notice nature. I think the birds are extra talkative at the moment. And I was chatting to a friend in London earlier today, and I'm laughing because as we are discussing things, her cat does this all the time when her and I are chatting. Her cat makes these little noises of approval. And today I said something to her, and I said, I just got that your cat's a master. And he already knows this information. That's his affirmation, his affirming, his nodding to what we're doing. I found animals full stop wanting to connect even more. Yeah, they do, because they are energetic beings, and we are becoming more energetic. So they're feeling into our frequency, and they are attracted to a beautiful vibration such as yours. All right. Well, I don't know about the rest of you here in New Zealand, but the weather here today has been thunder, incredible downpours of rain, and then nothing. And you wonder where the rain could come from. And then all of a sudden we've got, these dark clouds coming across, and again thunder and very, very heavy downpours. So I wouldn't say it's our normal November weather, but I do believe that we've had lots of weather manipulation. Oh, Deb's saying, they have a little bird there saying, literally talking, I'm a pretty birdie. I am in the north of Auckland, Heidi, in Whangaproa. So yeah, on the coast. All right. Well, yeah, lots of love to all of you. I'm always grateful for you coming to join me, and collectively we can hold this vibration and frequency and the knowledge that we are doing this transmuting, so that everybody benefits. All right. Much love. Talk again soon.